Hello, my friends. I'm your host, Daniel Wilcox, and you're listening to episode number 31 of the Writer's Chair podcast. And it is Wednesday, 5th of August, 2026, as I record this. In today's show, I'm going to be talking to author of Cozy Mysteries and Holiday Rom-Coms, EMBER MAE, about finding her reader audience on Kickstarter, what it takes to be successful on the platform, why it's important to keep things simple, why pets are incredible leverage for audience building, and much, much more. So stick around for that. But before that, let's get into my very, very short personal update. And I say that every single week, but I mean it this week. And if you can hear tinkling, I'm going to leverage my pet and say that's the cat over in the corner. For people who've been listening to this podcast for the last few weeks, few months, you'll know that I have just moved house. So as of last Thursday, I moved into this brand new place. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it behind. You can see some of it's in order. There's a lot of boxes and things still around. So there's still a lot of organizing to do. So in terms of personal update, that's all I've got going on this week. Has been moving, working, doing all the admin stuff that comes with life. The only thing that I will shout out for before we jump straight into the interview with this unusually short intro is I am really starting to put the wheels on the ground for my upcoming Halloween promotion. So if you are an author who writes specifically horror, but if you've got something dark fiction that might fit into there as well. Last year we had some post-apocalyptic books that were quite dark and horror-y as well. I am setting all that up and putting everything behind the scenes. So if you're an author who writes that kind of stuff and you want to promote your book this Halloween, the dates will be the 5th till the 11th of October. It is the deliciously twisted Halloween horror book sale. And we ran it last year and got some incredible amounts of people who were jumping over to the page. We had thousands and thousands of readers jumping to the page. My biggest favorite stat from that was we had nearly 80% click-through rate from people who jumped onto the landing page and went off to go see people's books. So for me, that's huge because that means that we're attracting the right readers who love horror, who love dark fiction onto that page so that we can then provide them with loads and loads of books to read for the Halloween season. So if you're listening to that and that sounds like something you'd be very, very interested in, you can head over to devilsrockbooks.com/partners. And there's a bunch of information on there, as well as the forms where you can apply to be part of the promotion. So I obviously can't guarantee spots for everyone, but if you want to apply for it, it's free to apply. Books will not be free to give away on that. We are doing the lowest of 99 cents, 99p book sales, because as we all know, free book promotions don't really work that well, or at least I found that. So that's what I've got going on. And that's all to be said there. Over into the interview with EMBER MAE. Ember, or as I call her, Emmy, as she is one of my activated authors who used to help me a lot behind the scenes with the activated authors stuff. When I used to coach, she was there running sprints, getting involved in the chats, helping everyone. And she's still going, and it's awesome to see that she's still promoting herself. She's still getting her books out into the world, writing the stuff that she loves. And she started to find success on Kickstarter. So I thought with all the buzz and all of the conversation around Kickstarter for authors, she would be someone fantastic to have on the show to talk about what it means to be an author on Kickstarter, how to build a page that converts, what the benefits are of using the Kickstarter platform, how to fulfill physical products as well as digital products, all of that and so much more. And we go into this deep dive. And you'll hear in the conversation, even I am learning stuff as we go through this, because I myself will be looking at, for the first time in 8-9 years, setting up a Kickstarter campaign at some point in the future. So loads of information in this episode. Ember is a wonderful font of knowledge. She is a lovely human being and deserves your attention. So if you are ready, I am ready. It's time to pull up a chair, grab a notepad, and let's get into it. EMBER MAE writes books where found family thrives, pets scheme, and laughter is always off-leash. She writes cozy mysteries and holiday rom-coms, and one day plans to mix those two genres together. She writes cozy and romantic books that will have you laughing, swooning, and crying with characters that feel more like friends. Ember/Emmy, welcome to the show.
Hi. Yes. Used to be Emmy.
Used to be Emmy.
Yeah.
So I might actually go into that in a little bit. But are you okay with me going by Emmy, or would you rather I do Ember through this conversation? I'm so used to Emmy at this point. So
yeah.
So obviously me and you go a ways back at this point. Emmy was very, very involved in the Activated Authors group, helped me out a lot with running sprints and doing a lot of things behind the scenes, for which I'm eternally grateful for. So thank you, Emmy. Emmy also has an uncanny ability to know from 1,000 miles away over in Guam whether or not I'm going through a tough time and messaging me exactly the point when I'm at my lowest, which is freakish and bizarre. And there's some kind of magic involved there. But just to kick us off, my first question to you, living over in Guam, knowing as much as I know about you, how is the farm right now? What's going on in the farm?
So we are currently recovering from a typhoon. I don't know that we actually got typhoon force winds here. We got the edge of a typhoon. But that's the second one this year. And so we actually put up my sister's mango tree again today because it had been knocked over again. But the farm is recovering. We have passion fruit flowers that are blooming, and they're gorgeous. They're really weird looking. They look like alien flowers, I swear, but they're so cool. And then we also have a dragon fruit that is blooming shortly.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm excited. And I think we can finally get it to fruit. So we've had 2 or 3 other blooms, but we haven't had pollen to pollinate it with. And so Lex had saved some pollen from the last one. And so we're hoping we can pollinate this one and get it to actually turn into a fruit.
Nice. That sounds very exciting. It was one of my favorite things, being on those sprints and hearing like chicks in the background or the new puppies or, you know, whatever was going on. There always seems to be something. And I think one of the things that there's always something. I feel like one of the things I really want to highlight here is you have a very, very busy schedule, probably weirdly like more so than a lot of people I know, because, you know, you're very, very involved in obviously the farm. It's it seems a turbulent climate over on the island, but you're also someone that gets books done and is very involved in the author communities and just gets things finished. So for people listening who might be unfamiliar with you and your work, can you tell us a little bit about how you got into writing, what your kind of focus is right now, and how you got to where you are today?
Sure. So I decided when I was 8 years old that I wanted to be a writer. And I decided later on that I did not want to be a journalist, which is what most people decide to do as a writer. Journalism. I did it in 8th grade, and I got articles published in like the base newspaper because I went to a military school. But I didn't like it. I do not like nonfiction writing. It's not something I prefer to do. So I then very much was like hardcore, I want to be a novelist. Like I want to write story for as long as I possibly can. And so when I was 21, I published my first book, which was A Familiar Search. It was a children's chapter book under the name MEB. Which is where Emmy comes from. So that was my first pen name, and I wrote a whole series of chapter books about little witches and them coming of age and all of the little steps that they had to do to become a full witch, which was a lot of fun. And it was written for my nieces, because at the time they were the age that they would be reading those. And then I graduated to middle grade books, where I wrote a trilogy that was a spin-off series from Little Witches, and it was her older cousin and her friends that we followed because my nieces were at that age where they were reading middle grade. And then I decided that I was burned out on fantasy and wanted to write cozy mysteries. So EMBER MAE was born, and I have been writing cozy mysteries and holiday rom-coms since.
And many of them.
MEB. Yes. I've written 10 of the cozy mysteries, and then I am 2 in on the holiday rom-coms, and I'm currently working on the 3rd. And then I have a whole another series that I'm working on once I get the 3rd book done.
Always grinding. There's always something going on. And I think one of the things that I like is you obviously mentioned the witchy books for younger readers. I've had the fortune of working on your website and seeing some of your back catalogue and things. And obviously, you know, you were on chat shows on like TV doing interviews about these books, and your journey seems to have really covered kind of a range of different types of books, different ways to promote these books, different methods of experimenting to try and get those books out. When did you say you published that first book again? What year?
2018.
2018. So over the past 8 years, which, congrats, that's a long time to kind of be in this industry. You have constantly evolved, constantly developed. And at the minute, as far as I understand, obviously you're doing a lot of stuff with Kickstarter. You're very, very involved actively in a lot of sort of author conferences and communities and things. So what changes have you kind of seen? What are the biggest changes in yourself that you've adopted from when you first started to kind of where we are now in 2026?
I am not focused on trying to keep up with the Joneses, I guess, is the best way to do it. Like, I'm not trying to do what they tell you to do as far as marketing or even like release strategies. Amazon is not where I make my money. When I do make money, like, Amazon is not it. The retailer side, I make more money on Apple than I ever do on Amazon. Wow. So trying to do a rapid release strategy has never been something I've done, not intentionally, because like I don't see results on Amazon. So I also used to like really beat myself up about doing social media more often. And I just don't do it now. Like, I have my assistant doing social media so that it's still there. But before I had her, I wasn't doing social media. I wasn't posting. I don't have it on my phone. I don't really check it all that often unless I'm like, I need to go see if there's comments on the stuff she's posted. I should engage there. But social media is just something that was constantly causing me anxiety. I'm not good at it, and it wasn't creating results in any form that I could see. So it just felt futile. So I just don't do it.
No, I don't blame you at all.
Yeah. And so like how I ended up with Kickstarter is I kind of just decided that I wanted to give it a whirl. Like a go. And I had learned from my first series that if you wanted to take a book down and change it, or you didn't want a copy to exist anymore, don't put it in print.
No, because Amazon will keep it up forever.
So I had a first edition of The Little Witches that had this bright yellow cover, and having been in the industry for a little bit, I was like, oh, that looks so amateur, I need to change it. But I could never get it to stop appearing in searches because I had gone to print because I wanted paperbacks. I wanted to hold the book. That's how kids read. So that was something I didn't do with the Veronica Swift mysteries. I kept them in ebook until I had the entire series out. So what I did was to get my books in paperback. I did a Kickstarter and I did special editions because it was about the time that Book Vault came out with Bespoke. So I got pretty foiled paperbacks for my series. And it was so much fun. And I was not a blockbuster success, but I found more success and I found more people and engagement there than I have found anywhere else. Trying to get people to engage with me on platforms that are my own has been a struggle. Like, I have had a really hard time building my own platforms. I can go in and support somebody else's platform and like, no problem. But to build my own has been a struggle. And so going on to Kickstarter and having the engagement directly with readers has been phenomenal. And they are such lovely people. They're such lovely people. I love my backers so much.
Also, phenomenal is a very, very strong word. And so my experience with Kickstarter, I ran a Kickstarter back in, I think it would have been about 2018, for an audio drama that we did the first episode. The idea was I didn't want to do the full, because I was doing a lot of stuff with the Other Stories podcast at the time, and we weren't making enough money really as much as I wanted to pay narrators and all the creators behind it. So the idea was to put forward a Kickstarter, raise enough money to pay the actors that I'd got involved, who, like, to be fair, they're really, really cool actors, but it never transpired because the Kickstarter ended up failing. And, you know, failing's a relative term, but I think we got to about maybe 70% backing, and then it kind of stopped there. And there's a lot of things in hindsight that definitely could have done differently that I'm aware of. But since then, I've kind of not touched Kickstarter. And I saw, obviously, Brandon Sanderson's meteoric success a couple of years ago, like when the YouTube video popped up with all of these books that he'd written, and, you know, he kind of broke records with Kickstarter. And from my side, at least, like, I'm personally, I want to do some Kickstarters, but I'm wary of it being a fad, of it being a trend, of it being something that has already expired, and maybe I've missed that boat. What would you say your experience has been? Like you say, phenomenal is a strong word to say, you know, finding people engaging, like having these very, very active people engaging with you. What would you say to someone like me who maybe is kind of like a little buzz of considering it, but has potentially been burned before?
So I think if you go into it with the expectations that there are certain things that breeders are looking for. These shelf trophies are a big thing. Like, that is what they're looking for, is these pretty
What's a
books
shelf
that
trophy?
pretty books that they can put on their shelf and talk about on social media as well, like pretty foiling and end pages and dust jackets that come off and have another foiled cover, and did I say
Sprayed
end
edges.
papers, sprayed edges, like a bookmark, all of those things. Like, I did that for my third one, and it went to the highest that I've gone so far. But it's your expectations have to be not at Sanderson level.
Which for people listening, that was millions, to the point that even publishers were like, uh-oh.
Yeah, it was a lot of money.
40 million?
But also, he has a career that has rabid fans already. Like, it was just gonna go berserk. Anyway, even if what he wrote isn't good, like, it was just gonna go insane. And he did deluxe special editions, because he did like leather bound stuff.
Yeah, they were tight.
Yeah, they were beautiful. So not Sanderson level. Also, audio, they're trying to start moving to where audio is something that's accepted on the platform. But thus far, if you're specifically looking for an audio campaign, they don't fund as well. So you can tell people that you're going to be funding a project with the funds from this campaign, but your rewards need to be like physical books or physical merch, things that people can hold. Physical is one of those things that's really big on Kickstarter, is people want to hold the stuff. Or they at least want to see the physical stuff that they could hold. Because still a lot of people will go for the ebook. But I think it's become more widely known since 2018. I don't think a lot of people knew about it. So I knew about Kickstarter in 2018, but it was because I was an entrepreneurship major in college. And it was something that we talked about when we were talking about like how to get money for your business. So I think the average person still doesn't really know what Kickstarter is. I've been teaching a group of people about Kickstarter, and I had to remind them, I'm like, so we're like steeped in it. We know about Kickstarter. We love Kickstarter, like all of this, but majority of writers still don't even know what it is.
Well, kind of, all right, to that point then, because that was popping into my head. For listeners who are listening to this and they've just heard us be like, Kickstarter is this, and Brandon Sanderson this, and foiled edges and all this kind of stuff. What is Kickstarter, and what is the main reason that authors should at least be aware or consider this as a potential option to publish?
So Kickstarter is a crowdfunding platform, which means that how I describe it is a really cool creator comes on, presents a product, and really awesome people decide whether or not they want that product. And if a bunch of people decide that they want that product, then there's a whole bunch of jargon, but basically there's a goal that you have to hit. And if a whole bunch of awesome people think that your product is awesome, they will back your project, they will pledge to your project, and you'll hit that funding goal. And then after your funding goal has been reached, you will collect the funds to make that project happen. It is also very important to realize that Kickstarter is not the same as GoFundMe. GoFundMe is a charity platform where you are not expecting anything in return. You are donating to the person who has told you why they need the money.
Have people got those two confused?
Often, yes. I don't know anymore, but like some people go on and they have their like whole story is I need the money for this, this, and this kind of thing. Because yeah. So, like, that's not what you're doing here. So, also, there's a lot of people that, they don't want to do it because they feel like it's asking for charity. On Kickstarter, you're not asking for charity. You are providing them with products. They are getting something in return for the money that you're paying. However, backers on Kickstarter are higher value customers. They are willing to pay for more. Like for early access, they're willing to pay for exclusive access. They will pay a premium versus what someone on a retailer will pay. So pricing wise, there's more profit to be made on Kickstarter as well.
So this was kind of I had Rob on the podcast a couple of weeks ago and we were talking about our strategies with digital marketing and the Twisted Tales series and how we want to do more in-person events because the audiences there are more primed to pay more for the books. Not to a point where let's extort people, but say like it's not unusual for people to pay a tenner, £15 for a paperback versus going on Amazon. People generally, the larger majority of people are looking for the cheaper ebooks. And so it does sound like Kickstarter has that kind of digital primed audience ready to go. I think it's also worth just for listeners as well. So with Kickstarter, as I found out, you set that financial goal. If you hit that goal, everything happens. So it's a really good way to trial ideas. Like you don't necessarily have to have written the book before you do it. You can think, I've got this cool idea. Do people want it? And then fund it. Obviously, with the knowledge that once it's funded, you then have to deliver the product. But at the same time, it was at the time, I'm pretty sure it's still going now. Indiegogo is a similar platform in which you can do the same thing where if you don't hit that funding goal, you still get as much money as you got up until that point. Whereas Kickstarter is very much an all or nothing. So if you don't hit that funding goal, it just doesn't happen. So sort of two differentiators there. What have you found has been sort of the key things to success on Kickstarter? Obviously, you mentioned, physical, actual trophies to go on people's shelves. So there's a high leniency towards really, really nice editions of books, and we'll kind of potentially go into some of the book vault stuff there. How do you successfully set up a Kickstarter page? What are people looking for? What grabs their attention when you put something live?
So first thing I would say is for your first Kickstarter, go as simple as you can because the learning curve is intense. It is so much that you're learning at one time. So like if you have a backlist title, use a backlist title is usually what I'm suggesting to people because you can do like one book or an omnibus and have your reward tiers be easier to figure out. I say this as someone who thought that I thought I was making it simple. I did not make it simple. Yeah. So I had that 10 book series and I broke it up into 2 campaigns. And I had reward tiers for book 1 in ebook and in paperback. Then I had book 1 through 3 and book 1 through 5 for both formats. And so that ended up with 9 reward tiers for that first one. So then when I did the second one, I kept those 3 tier levels for both formats, so those 9, and I added books 6 through, I did something weird. I did like 1 through 5 and then 6 through 10 and somewhere in between, and it was a mess. And basically I had the full alphabet of rewards on that one, and fulfillment sucks. So I say keep it simple because you still have to fulfill all of it, and you want to try and make it as easy as possible because fulfillment is a beast always.
Yeah.
The work does not end once you hit that goal. It's just the beginning.
Well, so if we were to look at a very, very lean, basic Kickstarter, what would be sort of the main things you'd suggest? Obviously, like, these are just recommendations.
Okay. So I would say dive into your story first. Do a too long didn't read, like synopsis, basically your logline in a subheader at the top. Then have your trope card. So list all of the tropes that you know your readers are looking for on an image. Kickstarter is extremely visual, so you need to have good images, and it needs to break up the text. You need as much white space and visuals as possible because that'll keep people going down the page. So after your trope card, usually I suggest like giving a fuller synopsis of the book and then going into like what your main product for the campaign is. I always suggest having one keystone, cornerstone product that you're pushing, and it's usually your middle tier. So like mine was the special edition on my third campaign, was the special edition hardback of the trilogy. So then if you're doing a special edition, you would give them all the details of the special edition. So you show them the dust jacket, you would show them the sprayed edges, the end pages, the header bands and tail bands. All of the pretty things needs to be in visual format where people can like look and drool over how beautiful it is. Then you go down into probably book details, so like physical details of the books. This includes genre, the formats that the books are available in for the Kickstarter, sizing, page count, not word count, page count.
Readers don't care about words.
Your audience is readers, so many not times. Words.
Writers care about words. Readers don't give a shit.
So page count. And then I include, if I have any triggers, which often I don't, but occasionally I do, any trigger warnings, I will put it on the page as well, just because I want people well aware before they.
Well, it's better to have them and not need them.
Yeah. And then you can also include, when you're going into your book, like the story, you can have them meet the characters, you can have them like welcome them into the world. Then you would do about you, and your about you section should be first person and very personalized. Like you want to show your personality. This is how people are going to be connecting with you through the screen. You want your personality to be shining through. Also, I tell everybody, if you have pets and they're at all involved in your writing, take pictures, have pictures, put them up. People love pets. I have seen where someone did stretch goals based on their dog getting treats, and they met the stretch goals because they wanted the dog to get the treat. It was insane.
That's emotional blackmail.
It was hilarious. I'm like, this is crazy. And people were going crazy for it.
Yeah.
And I don't even think the dog had anything to do with the book that was being...
I'll be leveraging my fish.
Yeah. So, like, people love pets. If you have pets in your books, highlight the pets in your books because people love pets. It's just a thing. So after you're about yourself, then you would go into, you can include why you're doing Kickstarter if you feel like you need to justify that to the people buying. I don't think it's as common. It doesn't need to be done as much. It's all the way at the bottom now. It used to be at the top. It's all the way at the bottom now because people on Kickstarter don't care really why you're doing Kickstarter for a project anymore, because they're kind of like, I'm interested in the book that you're providing. I don't really care why you felt like you needed to do Kickstarter. I do, however, think it's really good for you to know why you're doing Kickstarter for a particular project. So it's still a question I answer for myself every time, but it's not as important to announce to your backers. Then you would have a summary at the end. And just one of the things that I've seen Melissa Storm do, and I've stolen it straight from her, and I've told her I've done this, is she'll put, now it's time to back the project. Click this button. It looks like this. And she has a screenshot of what the back this project button looks like and an arrow pointing to it. And I completely just stole that from her. So that because people new to the platform don't understand what these buttons mean, they don't know what pledge is. Like, there's a lot of jargon on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And if you're bringing in people from your newsletter who are not accustomed to Kickstarter at all, you have to educate them before you can expect them to join. I personally, I don't think anybody from my newsletter has joined a Kickstarter. Everybody that has come to a Kickstarter is either from my personal network or been brought to me from by Kickstarter.
How is the social discoverability or the organic discoverability on Kickstarter? Because I literally have no clue on this stuff.
So the algorithm is attention based. So the more attention you can get to your campaign, the more the algorithm will start showing it to other people. One of the things that I did on my second campaign is I did an in-person event, and I had made up little goodie bags, or I had little teacups with like cookies and tea and coffee in it. And basically I launched the campaign at this in-person event, and I told them the first 6 people to back would get a teacup set.
Amazing.
And it got people in there, so it got the algorithm moving, and then it started shooting it out to people. Also, there's a phase for pre-launch. That's really important. The goal time is like 4 months. And the idea is that you're pushing out your pre-launch page, and your goal is to hit about 25 followers for a $500 goal. And basically, that will help you hit your goal, is those 25 followers. They will not all convert, but that number, for some reason, helps to get it moving. And so the higher your goal, though, the more people you need on your followers tracking thingy. So the 4 months prior to your launch date is for building anticipation. And now Kickstarter has made it so that you can communicate to your followers. So someone I've been following on Kickstarter, she's genius. She makes beautiful editions of stuff. And I've been watching her do her follower updates on this last book. And what she's doing is she's polling people, and she's asking them what they want in her campaign. So by the time she launches it, she's got so much anticipation going for It's a beautiful woven blanket is the last thing that we voted for. And it has this cute little dragon on it. It's so cute. And so basically, first she had asked if we wanted a mug or a blanket or both. Turns out everybody wants the blanket. So then she went through 3 different designs for the blanket, and everybody chose well, not everybody, but the majority was this cute little dragon in a library. And I'm like, this is genius.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's already getting that engagement, so it's already getting the algorithm going.
Oh, my mind is racing. So it sounds like, whereas a lot of people, and this is one thing I'm kind of coming to a lot lately in my head, and this isn't, when I say the word lazy, I don't necessarily mean that people are lazy. The default very much these days for most self-publishing advice or publishing advice in this sphere is get your book on Amazon, probably with a leniency towards, if you're an early author, go into KU, because that'll promote, people can get your book for free, but you get paid in page counts and things. And it seems that people do that, and then they step away from the keyboard and they're like, my book's going to sell. Or the next phase might be people do a few newsletter swaps, maybe do a little bit of paid ads, scream out on social media, fingers away from the keyboard. Kickstarter feels like a very all-encompassing way to publish a book, in a way that I think sounds like what people are starting to lean more towards anyway. With the rise of AI, with the rise of so much stuff being digital based, there's the real heart of what it sounds like is this human connection. It's, as a customer, you know that you are getting something directly from an author that has been specifically designed in a way to give an experience that cannot be found elsewhere. And obviously, you know, woven blankets, teacups, cookies, all that kind of stuff, they're all ancillary to the main thing, which is, you know, we've written a book and we want to get the book into people's hands. But this kind of physical package that obviously you can then charge more for than you would say get your 70% on the $1.99 ebook. There's obviously a lot of work that goes into it, but it definitely feels more rewarding and much more of a human to human experience. So even you saying about your about section should be written in first person, I think what people listening to this, if they're considering it, need to realize is you as the author are part of that product. Like, you're not just selling that book, you're selling this experience of communicating directly with an author in order to get something that they are specially making just for you. And I think that's something really, really special to put forward. Does that all sound kind of right from your side?
Yes, absolutely. I just finished reading Enough is Enough by Joe Solari. And basically,
nice.
Yeah, what you described at the beginning is the mimetic culture that he talks about in the first half of that book. And dude's a genius. Like, I keep reading stuff
I've
from
got
him.
down to get on the podcast. I need to reach out at some point.
Yes. He's phenomenal. But yeah, his book like blew my mind and basically has me, I have to do things first because I didn't actually do the exercises he gave us as I was reading, because I'm like, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna read this again because I need to like fully digest everything.
Yeah, and just for people listening, Joe Solari is the guy who runs Author Nation currently.
Yes, he is. But he has a ton of business books for authors. So, and he breaks things down. He breaks things down in a way that I feel like once it's said, I'm like, oh, duh, you should have known that. But I didn't know it until he broke it down the way he did. And it just like revolutionized stuff in my brain.
I got the same experience from Johnny Truant, who was not last week, the week before's guest, with the artist and author. Just all of this stuff, you're just like, that makes total sense. Because again, like, the culture has just been so vocal about rapid release, digital, KU, throw things in, make a crap load of money. And for some people that works, and, you know, props to them. There's literally nothing wrong with that. But I do think the value of work has been lost from the fact that we are, like, if we're authors, this is a career we've chosen. Like, there is an amount of work. And obviously, you know, writing a book is I'm not devaluing that. Writing the book is hard.
Mhm,
And, you know, this is a whole extra set of things to add to your tool belt. But with looking at the in-person things right now, like me and Rob are looking at with Twisted, and we've got some stuff going on in the background. Like, for me, there's something just feels rewarding about the fact of I'm going to have a table that is my books and it is my physical things. And I'm going to have to think about, well, not just a book, but what can I sell with the book that would be cool, that would make the reader remember me? And you create those kind of more personal relationships versus, you know, I've sold over 100,000 copies of books that I've written, and I could name 15 readers. Like, it feels like creating those connections is just a lot more powerful. And yes, there's more work to it, but the reward feels like it has the potential to be greater.
Yeah, definitely. Like, in-person events is where I thrive, which is why I've added it as part of my Kickstarter thing. Because yeah, I am just not great digitally. Don't know why. It's just not.
Yeah, this is tangential, but also kind of relevant. But like, I think as time goes on, as social media becomes more crowded, as AI content pollutes algorithms, as many authors and groups that I'm following are discovering, things are becoming much, much more pay to play, that organic general posting really is just, it's not ineffective, but it's been so dampened over the last year or so that I think it is stuff like this where you have to rely more on those connections. And there will be much more of a swing away from social media, not entirely, but there will be a bit of an exodus over into physical stuff.
Yeah. Another person to either listen to or talk to is Ben Wolf.
Okay.
He has done some really cool things with his in-person selling. If I remember correctly, he like gave away nightlights with the book he was selling because it was a horror.
Nice.
And yeah, but he also has written like Johnny. He's written a ton of different genres because it's what he wants to do. So
yeah, doesn't want to be pigeonholed.
Yeah.
In terms of, you obviously mentioned fulfillment earlier. Fulfillment is also jargon for people who have no idea what that is. Can you explain what fulfillment is and kind of give us an overview on the practicalities and some of the challenges?
Okay, so fulfillment is the part of the process where you are sending books to people or sending products to people. This could be digitally, which most of us use BookFunnel to deliver digital files because they're amazing and they try to make authors' lives as easy as possible. And for like any kind of digital file now, you can send it through BookFunnel and go straight to their library. You would then also you can either drop ship from your printer, which you go into the back end and basically you give the printer the customer's address so it doesn't come to you. But if you're going to be signing books, remember you're paying shipping twice. You have to pay for it to yourself and then to the customer. But that's when you're sending books out. And shipping is a headache and a half. I will say that. It is hard to do. Especially for things that you're doing that are not books, because you can't even send them as media mail. You have to send it the regular way. I did book boxes for my last Kickstarter, and I regret taking them out of so I had a mug. I had an exclusive mug, and I took it out of the mug box that it came in to fit it into the pretty box that I was trying to make it fit into, and I had 2 mugs broken. So I then had to pay $20 each for a mug to send replacements. So keep that in mind. I'm really mad at myself for doing that because like the mug box had survived getting to Guam on its own without another box on it, and I didn't just leave it in there. Like, it seemed It was a blonde.
In hindsight.
It was not great. But yeah, you live and you learn. So that has, I honestly, like, I got my mugs from Printful. The mug box is amazing. It will send. Fine. Other than that, don't do mugs. So many people tried to tell me not to do mugs. I'm like, no, this is what I want to do. This has been my vision for a mug box. For as long as I've been writing, this is what I've wanted to do. So I'm going to do it. And then, yeah. But that is what fulfillment is. Fulfillment is sending the actual products at the end of the campaign. And when you finish fulfillment, that is when your campaign can close and you can go on to your next one.
Yeah. And do you find that with each campaign that those followers do grow? There's a kind of organic bump in each campaign?
Yes. So I won't say that all of my backers have followed me over, but I also hopped genres. So, like, I did the 2 campaigns for the same series, and then I hopped genres, and I did holiday rom-com. And so most of those, like, those backers wouldn't necessarily translate into that genre. So, but genre is another consideration. So for Cozy Mystery customers are not all that into special editions or merch.
Oh.
Yeah, you'd think they would be, but that's not what they're buying. They have, like, we want standard books and, like, some art, maybe. I don't even know if they want art. But, yeah, like, I am considering doing a puzzle for this next one, because I think that might intrigue them.
That's cool.
But they're not gonna want, like, you'd think they would want a mug, or I am gonna try for the blanket and see if I can do the woven blanket. I found it on one of the print-on-demand companies. So I'm gonna see if I can get someone to take that for Cozy Mysteries. But yeah, like, majority of Cozy Mystery readers are, like, really into wanting the books, but they're not necessarily looking for other things to immerse themselves in the world. The romance, there was a lot of people that were like, yes, give me the pretty book. And there was even a good portion of people that wanted to experience the world through the book box. So it's understanding the differences in genre. And Thea Sharp does amazing. She calls them pre-flight checks. And basically, before you launch your campaign, she will give you a rundown of your campaign and where you can improve and what would be better. And I did that for my 3rd campaign, which is the holiday rom-coms. And one of the things she told me is contemporary romance doesn't do as well. I'm like, of course. I chose the genre. I chose the romance genre that doesn't do very well. Like, of course I did.
So do your research.
So if you're looking for bang for your buck, go romantasy or paranormal, because those are the ones that seem to hit really high. Or fantasy. Fantasy does pretty well.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Interesting. So, fun idea for you, just since you mentioned it. If you do jigsaw puzzles, what could be fun is if you remove one piece from that jigsaw puzzle and hide it somewhere else in the package, and then do a little find the final jigsaw puzzle. But
that could
be fun. But you have do your own little mystery thing. This is the kind of thinking. Outside the box stuff. You have a Kickstarter coming up soon. What can you tell listeners about that Kickstarter, and what are some of the lessons that you've learned from previous campaigns that you've put specifically into this one?
So this one is going to be another Cozy Mystery series. It's about a nurse who ends up being given the Belford estate after her employer dies. So, like, she has no familial connections to this woman, but she leaves her everything, including her granddaughter and the mystery of her daughter's death. So, her daughter had died and it was ruled accidental, but Alice Rose is convinced that it was murder and she wants Serena to figure it out. And so basically that is what the overarching plot of the 5-book series is figuring out who actually killed Alice. And there's a lot of, or not Alice, Rose. There's a lot of murders in each of these books because one person dies in each book that is tangentially connected to the overarching plot. And there's secrets, and it's a coastal town. It's in Newport. It's based off of Cliff Walk, which is where the Breakers Mansion and like all of the old money mansions are in Newport, Rhode Island. And it was a place that I grew up going to when I lived in Rhode Island. It was one of my favorite places in the world. So I've created Cliff Haven loosely based on Cliff Walk. Loosely based because I'm not going to make sure that all of the things are correct. I'm making up my own world.
Why should you?
Yeah. And so I'm seriously considering having a jigsaw this time. A jigsaw puzzle. These will not be super fancy books. I will have an omnibus hardcover special edition. That one will be fancy, but like the paperbacks will be standard, the ebooks will be standard. And basically you'll get book 1 will be an option and then the whole series. I'm not messing around with all of the different tiers that I did before.
Yeah.
And it's going to be simpler than my last campaign because of the genre, but I'm hoping it does really, really well. I think it's a really cool idea. I did have a plan to do like a reader retreat in Cliff Walk.
Mm-hmm.
But since nobody has read these books, I don't know how excited I can get people to like go and do an event in the place until maybe there's fans for this book. So I'm going to wait on that one. But yeah.
I will say Johnny Truant's one that I think finished yesterday as of the time of recording. One of the things I saw, and that was pretty cool, was he is offering a read along with the author over a series of weeks. So they're kind of like digital reader groups. Yeah, digital reader groups. So then you can discuss, sections. It won't be chapter by chapter, more than likely, but I thought that was quite a nice idea. But we'll make sure that the link for your campaign is popped into the show notes so that obviously people can follow it. But before we get into the quickfire round, what are some useful resources that you found for people who might want to find a little bit more about Kickstarter?
Okay, so Kickstarter itself has a really good FAQ on their site, so that's a good place to start. Also, if you are interested, you could join Author Nation's community. It's free to join. And they do Kickstarter cohorts. So we are currently in our 2nd year of Kickstarter cohort, and Oriana Leckert, who is the publishing director of Kickstarter, comes and she talks to us about Kickstarter updates. And we're going to be having one next week talking about, I don't remember what the topic is, but they have panelists come in and we talk about different aspects of Kickstarter, and all of it is recorded and kept on the community site where you can go in and watch lessons that have been done before. It's a really good place to check out. There are also groups that meet on or through Author Nation. Another good place to go is Kickstarter for Authors on Facebook. That is the Facebook group run by Anthea Sharp, and there are so many awesome resources there. So many that like I was going through it with my class the other day and was like, whoa, I didn't know this was here. I need to come back in and read it later. She has so many good resources. She wrote a book So Kickstarter for Authors is a book that you can buy from Anthea Sharp. And they do lessons learned. Once someone completes a campaign, they'll go back on Facebook and post a lessons learned from their campaign. And those are beautiful to study and read. And there's also a Discord for that group, but you have to join the Facebook group first.
Gotcha. And is there room in your class? Can people sign up to your classes, or is that kind of closed at the minute?
It is closed currently. We have one more week, and then we'll be done my first cohort, which is like huge.
Babies.
I know.
Fly.
But right? Yes. But I know there was talk of doing another one. I think we might be waiting until the new year for the next one. But if and when I find out more, I can let you know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, let me know, and I can always put in one of the intros to the podcast so people listening will know. But yeah, thank you for all that information on Kickstarter. I now have my quick fire round in which I've got 10 specifically designed questions to throw at you as quickly as possible. You need to try and reply as quickly as you can, but as I always put as a caveat, there's no pressure. If you ramble, you ramble. Michael David Wilson. Honestly, I love you, Michael, but you are the worst at this. I need to get you back on just to prove to people who want to listen to the new episodes. But are you ready for your quick fire round?
Yes.
Okay. Question number 1. Witchy cats or adventurous dogs?
Adventurous dogs.
What was your favorite mobile phone?
Oh, the Nokia. I had
the 3310
when they were not trendy.
Yes.
Or the Razors. The Razor. I had the Razor when it was
Motorola
no longer
Razor,
trendy.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a Nokia.
There's a theme here. If you could spend 24 hours anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Edinburgh.
Who is one person you would take to that place for that 24 hours?
My grandfather.
What's your favorite TV show?
There's a tie.
Give us both.
Oh, okay. Great British Baking Show or How I Met Your Mother. Very different.
Brilliant. Yeah, I understand why. What do you typically have for breakfast?
Protein coffee.
Percival Duck or Fluffy the alpaca? For context, people, these are 2 of the pets in her new Kickstarter series.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. I'm going to say Percy. We have ducks.
Nice. Hercule Poirot or Miss Marple?
Miss Marple.
What's one thing you cannot write without? I know what mine is.
I'm trying, so I'm pretty flexible. I don't even always have to have my laptop because I dictate into my phone. Thoughts in my brain. Sometimes those disappear.
Fair. What one book would you recommend above all others, excluding your own?
Vera Wong's, oh my gosh, what is the whole title? Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers.
I love it. And one bonus question. Where can my listeners find out all about yourself and everything you've got going on?
Ember Mae's Cozy Bookshop. Yeah, I will send you the link.
Yeah, we'll put that link in the show notes.
It is the new Shopify store
Nice.
that I've set up.
Exciting. Cool. Well, that is a wrap. So thank you so much, Ember, for joining me on the podcast this week.
Thank you.
And to everyone listening, thank you for being here. If today's conversation sparked something inside you, go and do something with it. That's the whole point. And if you want to go deeper, whether that's with your writing, your process, or actually finishing your book, head over to danielwilcox.com/writers, where there's a growing list of resources for you over there. And until next time, my friends, write bravely and dream big. Thanks again, Emmy.